There are 3 things I know for sure. 1. I am the last remaining member of the Begassi family and heir to the throne of Goldus, the only living threat to the usurper king, Jess Zovak. 2. My only friend and closest companion has deceived and betrayed me, and in turn brought about the murder of my entire family. 3. I am lost. Lost and alone in this vast universe with no one to guide me or help me decide what to do next. The last week has been brutal. With the ship on course to Cursa, I've had more than enough time to reflect on the events of Terranium and try to come to terms with the life that I find myself living. I'm afraid I'm not doing a very good job of it. I've cried so much and for so long that I'm surprised my eyes haven't yet run dry. My days are torn between laying curled up on my bed, staring at the wall blankly, or sobbing until I'm so physically exhausted I can't tell what's real and what isn't. And the nights are the worst. Faces haunt my dreams, beautiful and cold. My family, Nerissa, they whisper to me, cursing me, blaming me, and when I wake up screaming, nauseous and drenched with sweat, it's only to find I'm alone again. Finally, I have to admit to myself that I'm not okay at all. I can't keep going on this way. Not if I have any hope of salvaging my future. It's going to be hard. The hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But it's time I keep moving forward. Though I haven't ventured out of my room more than a handful of times, I've been well cared for. Riona and Ayame have been bringing me meals, though I rarely eat more than a few mouthfuls, the both of them seeming more and more concerned with each day that passes. The captain stopped by to check up on me, and though I can safely say that comforting others is certainly not one of his greatest strengths, I appreciated the gesture. And every day I wake up, I'll find a new drawing from Bash stuck to the front of my door. The drawings usually depict a certain assassin in various embarrassing situations, but as ridiculous as they are, they manage to make me smile. June and Damon I haven't seen, and the more I think back on my past conversations with them, the more I find myself pulling their words apart. Shock and stress has turned me into a recluse, and the more time goes by, the less I want to face the world. My thoughts drift back to my meeting with Vex, and the more I think about it, the more confusing the situation becomes. He used me to find the secrets of the palace, and I can't stop thinking that the attack was all my fault.
Everyone, to the bridge. We'll be coming up on Cursa in a few hours, and we need to make sure we're prepared.
I step onto the bridge, per the captain's orders, though I'm stopped in my tracks by a dark shadow cutting me off. I give Damon a tired look, a sign that I don't have the energy to play his games right now.
Good morning, Your Highness. Ready for an adventure?
As long as you don't sell me out before we get there. He puts a hand over his heart in mock offense, but I don't miss the grin that tugs at the corner of his lips.
Would you believe it if I told you I changed my ways? I swear it, as a man of honor.
I'm tempted to snort at the ridiculousness of his claim, but I hold it in. You don't have any honor, Damon. He stops and studies me, his smile fading.
I might have been a little hasty.
You think?
You have to understand that the people on this ship, sure, they're a pain in my ass, but they're as good a family as I'll ever have. Wouldn't you do whatever it takes to protect the people you love?
And sacrifice another life in the process? What kind of royal would I be if I didn't think of others before myself?
A smart one.
I narrow my eyes and give him a firm look, thoroughly disagreeing. That kind of thinking got everyone into this mess in the first place. Damon huffs a laugh, stepping aside to let me pass, as he says softly,
You're too good for us, Highness.
I shift on my feet uneasily, raising an eyebrow at him. If this is you trying to apologize, you're doing a shitty job of it. He snorts and flicks me on the tip of my nose playfully.
All I'm saying is, it's your own choice if you want to sleep with one eye open. But you won't get any trouble from me. Unless you ask for it.
I roll my eyes, pushing past him to join the others near the cockpit.
Good. You're all here.
Calderon addresses the group who stands around me, his mouth set in a grim line.
We're not far from Cursa now. About 3 hours until we land. Besides Nico, we've all been here before, so you know the drill.
The crew nods and murmurs, so the captain directs his orders at me.
Don't draw attention to yourself. Carry a weapon at all times. And for the love of all things holy, don't take off anywhere on your own.
Understood. I finger the knife at my side, the only weapon I have available. Do I get a gun, too? Calderon gives me a severe look, and I try not to shy away from it.
Do you know how to use one?
No?
Then you'd be a danger to everyone around you, including the crew.
Upon seeing my crestfallen face, he sighs softly.
After Cursa, we can train you how to use a gun safely. Until then, your knife will work well enough.
I nod, still a little disappointed, but I understand the risks. Calderon continues giving out orders. It seems that everyone has the job to do on this ship. Everyone except me.
Damon, get our contact on the comms and have him prepare for our landing. Riona, we might be away from the ship for a while. I need you to make sure we have medical supplies with us. June, make sure we have enough ammo for the trip. And Bash, everything in the hold needs to be secured. It'll be a rough landing.
Damon slinks away to do as ordered, with Bash following close behind. But Riona remains, her forehead furrowed and her arms hugged around herself.
You know I can't carry a gun, Calderon. I won't.
I need you to, for your own protection. And the crew's.
But what if I can't control myself? You know what happened the last time I...
She trails off when Calderon's face softens, and he lets out a long breath.
You can handle this, Riona. I know you can.
She says nothing, still looking as uncertain as ever, until June steps forward and places a hand on her shoulder.
I've got something you can use. It's non-lethal, but powerful enough to pack a punch.
Riona hesitates, but when she finally nods her head in acceptance, he gives her a small, encouraging smile.
Come on, let's go get it ready.
With the crew dispersing to prepare for landing, Calderon steps towards me.
It's best that we don't disclose your true identity to anyone outside the crew. If someone asks, we picked you up on Terranium as a navigator.
But I don't know how to navigate anything. Calderon stops and thinks, his head shifting to the side.
Perhaps it's time you learned.
I always wanted to travel, you know.
Well, now you've got your chance. I'm just sorry the circumstances are different.
I swallow down the lump in my throat, trying not to think about it too much. Yeah, me too. He waves to one of the terminals just behind the cockpit. It shows a large screen sectioned into a grid with various colored lights and controls surrounding it.
This terminal here tracks our course and highlights any obstacles along the way. We can also use it to find the best point of entry to planets.
I lean in to take a closer look, my head reeling. I don't know what any of these things mean. How long do I need to pretend to be a navigator?
Just until we get the CD and get off Cursa. Then we can decide what to do next.
Almost instinctively, my fists clench at my sides. When I speak, it's so quiet I may as well be talking to myself. Whatever we do, we have to stop Zovac.
We will, Nico.
My eyes meet his, and I see the same emotions reflected in him. Anger, betrayal, loss. I know now that he wants the exact same thing I do. To see Zovac made accountable for his actions, and the system brought to peace. Calder may not always be the most pleasant person to deal with, but I can trust him on this. Because maybe maybe I'm not as alone as I thought.
I have something else for you.
He takes something from inside his jacket and hands it over. A thin piece of metal.
It's a holopad. It'll let you look up anything you want.
Yeah, I know what it is. I push a small button on the side and the holographic screen lights up. I used to have one of my own, but was restricted on what I could use it for. My brother Arlo, the most reckless of all my siblings, once took it and dropped it in a garden fountain.
Good. Start with searching Cursa. It'll help give you an idea of what we're in for.
With a nod, I retract the screen and place it in my pocket. So, you've been to Cursa before?
A couple of times, when I was training for the Guard. There's a division that steps in and deals with disputes when the councils call for aid. I'm sure it's no surprise that it was one of the first divisions to be corrupted by Zovak.
Corrupted? Calderon gives me a grim look.
By the time Zovak launched his final attack on the palace, he had already replaced half the Crown Council with his spies, and had a majority of the Guard taking his orders. He spread through the system like a plague, worming its way into the veins of the powerful and the influential. When the time came to take the throne, I doubt he even had to lift a finger, besides the one he used to put the crown on his head.
I had no idea.
Of course he didn't. Zovak is a master manipulator.
I helped. I showed my guard, Vex, the ways in and out of the palace. I had no idea what he was doing with that information. I think back on the meeting on Terranium, and everything Vex had told me. How he used me from the very start.
It's not your fault, Nico. None of it is. Zovak would have gotten what he wanted, one way or another. You can't blame yourself.
I know what he's saying is true, but somehow, I'm still having a hard time believing it. Why are you being so nice to me? He hesitates, and I can see he's caught off guard by the question. Eventually, he runs a hand over his face and sighs.
When I joined the Guard, I swore an oath to protect the rulers of Goldus. I may not be Guard anymore, but I have a duty to you. Try not to make that too difficult for me.
I'm afraid I can't make any promises, Captain. I have far too much fun pushing your buttons. He huffs a laugh, his blue eyes drinking in the playful grin that twists my lips.
I've noticed. But if you're good, I might reward you. And I promise it'll be even better.
I raise an eyebrow, my curiosity piqued. Biting down on my lip to hide my smile, I stare at him sweetly. That may be so, but where's the fun in being good? He steps beside me, leaning close enough to whisper in my ear in a way that sends a shiver running through me.
Looking for trouble, are you?
I say nothing, but I know my face betrays every sinful thought that lingers in my mind.
I don't usually tolerate troublemakers. You're lucky you're cute.
He gives me one last, dark look before leaving the bridge, and I have to bite down on my lip to stifle the sigh that threatens to escape. Taking a breath to settle my pounding heart, I decide to find something else to do before getting myself in trouble.